Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is Alex Dworkin and I'm a managing partner at 40 Capital. We specialize in one-of-a-kind mathematical approach to the market where we calculate the market and individual stocks in three-dimensional space, and when we do, essentially perfect order emerges. And on top of that, we've developed a number of very powerful timing tools that allow us to predict not only what the stock market is going to do in price, but also what it's going to do in time. And when we combine both of those factors, we can essentially make very accurate predictions in both price and time and on multiple time frames, whether we're talking about long-term composition of any individual stock or short-term composition, doesn't really matter for us. Now, I personally believe our work is nearly identical to what Jim Simmons was able to accomplish in Renaissance Technologies, if you're familiar with Jim. So today we're going to be looking at Bitcoin. I got a number of emails and I got a number of requests, quite a few actually, asking me to update everyone on what Bitcoin is going to do going forward. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. Bitcoin is one of our weekly stocks. We do update it twice a year, but I think this is, we had a last update about 3 months ago, so we're doing it a little bit sooner, and for good reasons, because at least according to our work, Bitcoin is about to put in a major top and then decline quite substantially. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Now, there are two important things to mention when it comes to Bitcoin. Number one, our work on Bitcoin is a little bit more prone to error because we don't have sufficient enough trading data associated with this particular financial instrument. Typically, the way our calculations work is the more data we have, the more accurate they become. In the case of Bitcoin, as you very well know, that trading history is not necessarily there. 10 years is not sufficient now. So it's a little bit prone to error, but at least according to our calculations, it is a little bit clear at this point in time. So we'll see whether or not that plays a factor in what's going to happen over the next couple of months. And the secondary factor, we don't necessarily want to get into the fundamental conversation about Bitcoin, whether Bitcoin is money, whether it's going to replace dollar, what it means to the entire worldwide economic system, and all of that stuff. None of that stuff is important when it comes to our calculations. Our calculations are run. It's very simple. They yield a certain number of possibilities, and then we disclose it to you. So whether or not Bitcoin's going to replace dollar or all other currencies out there, or whether or not it's going to go to zero, for our purposes, it's not necessarily important. I'm simply showing you what our data shows. So with that in mind, basically, our forecast remains essentially the same. We've been saying for some time that we anticipate a significant top in Bitcoin, and that's exactly what you see here on the chart. So for those familiar with our work, and I'm assuming we're going to have a lot of new people watching this video, so I'm going to just very quickly mention the cycle cluster, or not the cycle cluster, but cycle composites you see here on the top and the bottom are very similar to, it's a variation of Hurst cycles, but a much more complicated version of it. And basically what we found in our work is that there are multiple composite cycles working in any given market or any given individual stocks. So for example, in the Dow Jones that I talked about yesterday, we have at least two upper composites and lower composites, but if we put it together, you essentially get a very accurate representation of what the two-dimensional chart shows. So that's what it is. Okay. So as you can clearly see, we had an important bottom here, an important bottom here, and then coming up an important bottom here next year. Okay. And of course, we had a major cycle top here, major cycle top here, and then it is predicting that we're going to have a major cycle top very, very soon. So if we click on this particular triangle, it is showing us that it's going to be in November of 2025, I'm sorry. But keep in mind that this particular cycle is fairly long in nature, so there's a certain margin of error associated with it. In this particular case, I would say plus or minus 2 months. So take this with a grain of salt. Now, the lines you see on the chart here are called cycle clusters. So we have the ability, we've developed tools over the years that we can scan the market going back and put in our proprietary cycles. And it's very important to mention our proprietary cycles. And our software identifies where those cycles works and then projects them into the future. Now, what we found over the years as well is that when there's a singular cycle arrives for any given market or stock, typically, there might be short-term turning points, but typically what happens is when there are multiple cycles arriving at the same time, and we call them cycle clusters, that's when there's an important turning point. So for example, if we have 3, 4, 5, 6 longer-term cycles, particularly if they're powerful cycles arriving at the same time, then you can rest assured that there's going to be a significant turning point here. So that's the lines that you see here. So you can see here it picked out the top here, picked out the bottom here, and then some variance here, and then we have some of them coming. So if we click on this one, for example, I believe it's 4 cycles. So that's a powerful cycle, and it's indicated it's going to arrive around August 15th. So we have this very important top projection, we have this cycle clusters, and when we combine them together, we can essentially ascertain that the top for Bitcoin is arriving very, very soon. This is a part of our three-dimensional calculations, and this has to do more not with timing but with price. And as you can see, we have a number of important points coming here. If I click on them, it's $126,000 per Bitcoin, 125,000. This one is a little bit closer to that August time turning point. It's indicating 125,000. This one, I'm sorry, not 125,000, but 143,000. I'm sorry, I'm clicking on the wrong one. Here we go. This one, 100, and it's for some reason it's not showing up. Let me try again. 135,000. So this is a very important number, and I'll explain in a second. So this is a part of our time and price calculation. So we calculate it in three-dimensional space because when we do, market presents itself with a perfect order. And if you know how to put it all together, then you can make very accurate forecasts. So the question becomes, where is the top and what Bitcoin is going to do later? And that's what our software can calculate nearly immediately. And not only for Bitcoin, but we can pretty much do it for everything. As a matter of fact, we just ran the entire S&P 500. We were able to identify, I believe, over 80 stocks within S&P 500 that are about to start moves that will be in excess of 50% over the next couple of months. So it's a very powerful tool because it allows us to identify not only where the upcoming turning point is going to be, but once that turning point is reached, it is able to calculate and project what the future is going to be as well. Okay, so let me show you that in a second. So let me minimize it, and I'll show you our three-dimensional calculations. So that's what you're looking at, and the blue, it's not green, it's more of a blue color. The blue area right here is the target that our software has identified as a completion point for Bitcoin. Okay. And if we click on it, we get two ranges, 133 to 136, and this one 131 to 134. So let's say 133,000 per Bitcoin plus or minus 3,000 as the final top projection. So once we reach into this area, and you can also see that is identified in time, we have the dates here as well. So once we reach into this area, we anticipate Bitcoin to put in that major top that we've been discussing. And once that top is in, we're going to decline quite substantially. And the question becomes, well, how substantially? And this what I was just mentioning is that we have the ability to pinpoint this location of where the top is going to be, and then we can make, or subsequently we can make projections or calculate where Bitcoin is going to bottom, for example. So, and the reasons why I've mentioned that we anticipate a significant sell-off in Bitcoin going forward is because of this structure. So typically when we have a very, what's the right word I'm looking for, loose or not concrete structure like this, it is typically indicative of Bitcoin breaking below this level. We call it a mid-level, and then going lower into this area. And then on the next level of support, or at least mathematical support, I would argue, is within this area, as you can see. So going back to the bottoms, or to the bottom that we saw, I believe, in 2025, and I believe it was around 50,000. Okay, but it gets even more interesting. If this level is taken out, then Bitcoin goes and dumps all the way to the lows that we saw in 2022. I think it was November of 2022, something like that, at around $11,000 or $12,000 per coin. Now, I would imagine that most Bitcoin enthusiasts would argue that this is an impossibility, but it is what it is. I'm simply showing you what the math is showing in this particular case and what it is projecting for Bitcoin going forward. It is also important to mention that this decline lines up with our overall stock market analysis that I talked about yesterday. You can check that video, and as we very well can tell, you can probably argue that Bitcoin is the poster boy for the pinnacle, so to speak, of the speculative market today. So whatever Bitcoin's going to do, market's going to do, and vice versa. So if the market does have a significant sell-off, as our work indicates, Bitcoin's going to do so at the X multiple of it. And that's exactly what our mathematical calculations here show. So hopefully you found this particular analysis helpful. We'll be back with another stock. I believe we're going to be looking at Berkshire Hathaway, which is interesting. Actually, our prior analysis suggested that Warren Buffett, something either is going to happen to Warren Buffett or he's going to step down, and that, of course, has come to fruition as well. So that's going to be an interesting analysis to review if you so wish so. That's it for today. Thank you very much for your time. Have a wonderful day ahead, and we'll be back with another update tomorrow. One thing I forgot to mention is that we do have a 30-day free trial associated with our work, where we share exact targeting, not only for things like Bitcoin, but we follow 52 mega cap stocks, most of the majors. We follow the indices, we have our fast movers, we have our super equities, stocks that are expected to appreciate quite significantly going forward. So if you want full access to that information, I definitely encourage you to go ahead and take a look. We also have webinars approximately once a week. I believe next one is going to be not this Friday, but the next coming up Friday. But I do encourage people to sign up. The seating is limited, and the rest of the information at the bottom of the video as well. And don't forget to subscribe. I guess I should have said most of that in the beginning of the video, but of course I forgot. I was too excited to talk about the Bitcoin. So here you go. So subscribe, check out all of that information, and request your free trial, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for your time. Bye-bye.